Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Folks, we got a great show. It is International Women's Day, and we're super excited about all the dynamic women we got joining us on the show today. We're going to kick off the conversation talking about rising gas prices. What? Gas prices are crazy around the country. We'll discuss how it's going to impact you and me and us. Also, we're going to check in with Ashley Banks to give us some updates about the WNBA star Brittney Griner, who is in Russia right now, and if there's a possibility that Putin may use her as a bargaining chip. We'll have that conversation. Later, we'll talk about how Black women have been falling behind even in the midst of an economic recovery. We'll check in with one Black business owner about the situation. And then later, Instagram got a new feature to help Black content creators. You want to know about it? Stick around. We'll get into that part of the conversation. We got a whole lot more and all coming at you on today's edition, the International Women's Day edition of The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to the show. Welcome. I am super duper excited because today is officially International Women's Day. We're going to talk about that in a little bit later on in the show. But this is a day where we celebrate all of the great attributes, the contributions, the great things that women have continued to do at home and abroad. And if you haven't had a chance to really thank a dynamic woman in your life, then today is certainly the day. It's not like Mother's Day, but it's just for those women who put themselves out there each and every day. Those women, I'm talking about mothers and doctors and lawyers. I'm talking about teachers especially. I'm talking about women who are doing the work to make society better. And today we just want to say thank you, celebrate them. Let's learn the history of all of these dynamic and powerful women that come into our lives and the history of all of these women that have brought this country so far along. So today is the day to celebrate women as we continue to celebrate women during this Women's History Month. So today I'm excited because I got all women. I don't have no dudes, no men. I got all women joining me today. But the first conversation, of course, is that as we talk about women, we got to talk about gas. We got to talk about gas prices. So many people are on their social media right now, just pretty much blown away by the fact that gas prices are crazy. On this side of the country, we're looking at gas prices nearly $5 a gallon. The average gas price is about $4 a gallon across the country. That's average, folks. But in Baltimore, and in other places along the East Coast, you're talking about gas prices being closer to $5 a gallon. If you head over to the west side, to the West Coast, whoo, I feel so sorry for you folks in the West Coast. I mean, $6 and $7 a gallon. Oh my goodness. Will there be some relief in sight? People are saying it's because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. But guess what? No one cares what's happening across the water if you can't drive your car. We're going to have a conversation. Let's bring the culture crew, my dynamic team of young women that are doing some big things. I'm very excited to have them back on every Tuesday. First, we're joined by Iman Heath, who is an entrepreneur and activist, and Lise Winnie, who is the host of Millennials Anonymous podcast. Ladies, happy International Women's Day, ladies.
Happy International Women's Day. Thank you. Hey, sis.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, Charlie. Love your hair per usual. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes. Y'all looking both dynamic and great and all that good stuff. So, ladies, I don't know if I know both of you. I think both of you have a car, if I'm not mistaken. But even if you didn't have a car, you probably wish you never did have a car.
So I just want to correct you really quick, Faraji. Gas isn't nearly $5. It is $5. I pay for premium gas, and when I tell you, I'm not okay whatsoever. Gas is $5. I used to exaggerate when gas was $3.15 and $3.25. Oh, gas $5 is $5. No, y'all, it's really $5.
It's $5.
You need $600 a month minimum to drive a car at this point. Car note might be $200. Your car insurance might be $200.
You said, wait a minute, how much are car notes now?
Might be. I would say might be $200.
Car notes haven't been $200 since the 70s.
Listen, you need too much money to drive a car right now. It's ridiculous.
No, car note. No, I think the average cost for car note, just very quickly, I think the average cost for car notes is about $400.
Yeah, that's probably about accurate.
I think the average cost is about $400, maybe $350, but I think it's about $400. But
so let's throw in $250 a month for gas. Let's throw in $250 on top of that. Then let's throw in car insurance that's at least $200 on top of that. Faraji, I'm sick about it. I'm sick about it.
Wait a minute. So, all right. So now let me ask you, Lise, with gas prices being at the price that they are in, does it making you rethink your routine, how you travel?
I mean, yeah. I mean, when you have to pay like $50 per time you go, or 60 or 70, depending on the size of your car, it makes you think, well, maybe I don't need to go to the hospital right now. Maybe I should just wait. Like it really does make you second guess your choices of things that you're going to do. But I'm old enough to remember 2008. When this is y'all 2000 and late, like we've been through this before. Like this is not, unfortunately, this is not new. This is the same. I think the barrels, $130 per barrel, was back in 2008. There were so many people giving back them Hummers and all of those, the expeditions and big cars.
I remember that.
We're about to go back through that again, where you see people, luckily Teslas, and we have a lot of electric cars, because you know who's not complaining? People who drive in Teslas. They not complaining.
Well, they're not complaining. That's true. But I mean, I do remember that time where, and the prices that gas is right now, it's actually has broken that record that was established back in 2008. So we are at a whole, like, really in an uncharted territory. Again, on the West Coast, they're seeing $6 and $7. And I want my culture club from YouTube and Facebook to check in about this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen pictures of they like $6.50, $7. If you ever been out to California, you got to drive. You just got to drive. You got to sit on that freeway. You got to move around, and it takes you about 30 minutes. It takes you 30 minutes to go everywhere around, just to go around a damn corner.
And so, again, 10-lane highway, you still take 30 minutes.
Wait a minute. All right, so 10-lane, yep, at least 10-lane highway take you 30 minutes. But what you said, Iman?
In turn of the gas prices going up, like you said, you have to drive in most states. The Uber and Lyft prices have gone up. Even the group Ubers have gone up. Like, it's this domino effect is crazy. According to U.S. News, last year 245 million barrels we got from Russia as far as oil and petroleum, but most of our oil comes from Canada. But if that's the case, can we just be independent and, just work with Canada? Because they're up the street. Let's just work with Canada. We don't really have to participate with Russia.
Well, they both.
Well, I mean, that's part of the conversation. And actually today, President Biden announced that the U.S. will target, quote, he calls the quote unquote, the main artery of the Russian economy by banning the import of Russian energy products. So he said that they're banning all imports of Russian oil and gas and energy, and that that means that Russian will no longer be acceptable at U.S. ports, and American people will deal another powerful blow with his war machine. So the president warned that the move would probably increase gas prices across this country. So we dancing right now. We going back and forth with Putin, and then at the same time, when they see, I'm gonna go back to this analogy. When two elephants are fighting in the jungle, guess who gets Guess who gets stomped and trampled? The grass. That's us. We're the grass.
We're just the grass and soil.
We're the grass.
Moving. Yeah.
So when we look at this situation, I mean, many people are, and I'm being very serious, that people have now rethought their routine. I mean, if you got children in school, you got to take them to school. You know what I mean? Because some of us, they just can't walk to school all the time. If you got to go to work, you might be thinking, hey, I might do this at home. And the sad part about this whole situation is that we're still in a pandemic. That hasn't really been called off. There has been no major announcement said, hey, COVID-19 is over, y'all. We're still in a pandemic. Some of us are still trying to recover from that situation economically. And now with rising gas prices, it's putting a lot of stress and pressure on people who may not have all of the necessary resources, economic resources, where they got to end up, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Lise, what's your take on that?
Of course, if more people are going to definitely reconsider their choices of where they're going, and because it's expensive, and not to mention just driving, but kind of taking back to Amon's point, it's going to impact more than just cars. You're talking about the cost of delivery is going to skyrocket. So now things like Amazon Prime and where they're going to get their money from when gas is high, they're going to raise the cost. So in the grocery store, you're going to see things get more expensive. You're going to see things get more expensive when it comes to delivery and transport and for the cost of goods and services. These things are going to start to add up. So it's unfortunate that we're just getting out of a pandemic, or they're saying endemic in some states. I think California said they're in the endemic, which is the end of the pandemic. But now we have all of this to deal with. The inflation is crazy. So I don't know, but hopefully we'll be able to do something, because we're not going to be able to keep with inflation. And then now these gas prices, no. People going to be asking, what's the least amount you can put in your car?
No, and I mean, that's the other part, Lise, and I'm so happy you brought that up. We're in a pandemic. There's a war with a major superpower that has a lot of access to oil, and we're still in an inflation. An inflation we haven't seen as this high over the past 40 years. So you have those three factors creating what they call a perfect storm. I mean, it's not looking pretty for the American people. It's not looking pretty for the American people. And my hope, Iman, is that we unlike what we saw with COVID, we started off with this mantra of unity. The next thing you know, once the vaccine hit, it just became something totally different. So I'm not going to get into that. But the fact of, being in this place that this country is in right now, like the president is going to need to have people on the same page.
And I'm looking forward to the polls. I'm looking forward to, after the dust settles and this dies down, if it dies down, whenever it dies down, what will be America's opinion about Biden, how he handled it? Are we looking at Democrats going completely Republican? Because when the Democrats and Republicans get mad at each other, they go cheat with the other party. So I wonder if that's going to be the case this go around, because we are being heavily affected. And like Lise said, as far as delivery goes, I was thinking of like Instacart and Grubhub and all those delivery places. If someone is driving is how they make their money. Imagine having to put $5 literally in your tank, a gallon, to deliver food, but they're not increasing your pay, or they're not increasing the charge they give to the customer, because they have to be reimbursed some kind of way. So it's when I say it's a melting pot that affects everyone, and hopefully we see the decrease in prices, but it's getting hectic out there.
No, I'm so happy you brought that point up, because I think that is the other part. I mean, we were able to rely on Instacart, Uber Eats, and all of these like food delivery services at the beginning of the pandemic. Now, we probably won't rely on it. I mean, and people, and if we look at this, sisters, that it, like you said, it's a domino effect. if people got to pay more for gas, then you got to pay more for trucking, for delivery. Then you got to pay more for the people that are going to do the delivery. I mean, it just keeps going. Look, people are checking in on our YouTube page. Christopher checked in, one of our longtime watchers. He said, wow, this ain't funny. No, it's not funny. You got to laugh from crying, though. You know what I mean? You got to like make a little joke because you got to now deal with adult decisions on how you're going to move, how you're going to spend your money.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part of the adulting that I see a lot of millennials don't want to deal with. They like, nah, I just want to go home and chill with my parents. Like,
gas
this is the
up
type
the
of
mongoose, okay?
this
Out the fire,
is
the
the situation.
mongoose.
Yeah, this is the situation. Folks are checking in. My guy Damon checked in and he said $3.79 in Kansas City. So that's still relatively pretty simple.
I need to get a book of flight. Y'all got what? Y'all got like good barbecue and stuff. $3.79 to Kansas City.
Joynet LG, she said $7 in Los Angeles.
Oh Jesus!
$7 in LA. Look at that. You know what I'm saying? Like $7.
I couldn't imagine.
And look, and check this out. The president has to walk the fine line. And this is where I think a lot of people are going to have to, I think this is where the strategy comes in, Lise. The president's going to have to walk a fine line of trying to, quote unquote, isolate Putin, cut off any economic benefit to him and his administration and to the Russian country and to the Russian people, without squeezing the American economy. Now, some people are already saying that the impact of this hit at the pump won't be a long-lasting impact. But the way shit has gone in 2021, 2020, and now we're in 2022, it's hard for me to believe that anything is going to go according to plan. What's your take?
I don't think it. At this point, just throw out the playbook. We just need to run whatever you got because the playbook is broken. Like, we can't even depend on it. But I will say that I do believe that they will be able to get these costs down eventually. Now, as far as inflation goes, there's not a whole lot, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's not a whole lot Joe Biden can do in order to get the cost of inflation down. But when it comes to gas prices, with the sanctions that they're going to put on Russia, and now they're banning those products, we are going to see this go up. So I'm hoping that at least, this is what I wish he would have done during the State of the Union, at least explain that to the American public. Like, hey, there's something coming down. I'm just telling you that things are going to get a little bit more expensive, and explaining that to the public. But, we will get out of this. He did not do that, I don't think, very well at all. And so eventually, of course, war is probably not going to last forever, but we are going to feel this for a while. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people are just digging themselves out only to just be going back down the rabbit hole with the rising costs of gas. And when you talk about like Uber Eats and those drivers, like, it will impact them because they're independent contractors. So They must pay for their gas and the maintenance of their vehicles. And you're right, they're not going to pay them. So there's a lot of Americans who left the workforce and started doing those types of jobs. So we're going to see another dip in employment and people who are not employed anymore. So I'm hoping that the Biden administration does address these things and starts to do something, although there's not a whole lot he can do, unfortunately, to get costs down. But when it comes to Uber Eats, I don't use it as much because I'm not paying $75,000 for a sandwich. It's not that much. That was on a good.
Well, you know what? I mean, here's the thing. Like, I think you make an excellent point. If the president, it's so sad because this was his first State of the Union address, and it seems like, every conversation we had, we're like, wait a minute, how come he didn't say this or say that? Like, there seems to be all of these big missed opportunities for him to speak on certain issues. And I agree with you, Lisa. I feel like the president should have said, hey guys, hey to the American people, we're going to feel some hits. Because, and again, I think that's part of why America, we always find ourselves on the short end of big conflicts. We always get we always get the stiff arm because, you know, we kind of go into these situations thinking we're going to take control. And then when it doesn't go according to plan, it's like nobody is communicating to the American people truthfully, saying, look,
truthfully,
this is what we're doing, but here's going to be the impact. Here's the outcome. Here are the possible consequences. I'm going to lay it out for y'all. Have a PowerPoint, something. The American people, like we are in grade school. Like, look, man, this is how this country is run. This is how oil production works. This is what we're bringing in. I mean, something. I know that it's a big situation. You can't, you know, squeeze it all in. But there needs to be something. Like, there can't be just rhetorics and saying we're going to get through this. Because people, unfortunately, Iman, can't see past the day. They can't see past the next 2 days. Today is Tuesday. They can't see past Friday. You know what I mean? They're like, oh man, I got to get through Friday. I got to get to the weekend.
And they were already maintaining what we've been doing with the pay they were receiving. Now everything is going up, but pay isn't increasing.
Yeah,
that's the, like Lee said, people have been trying to dig themselves out to now only go back in that rabbit hole. And America feels like that cousin that calls you, hey, pull up, have a situation. You don't know the extremity of the situation. You get there, the house done caught on fire, people outside acting a fool. It's like, wait a minute, you didn't tell me all of this. You didn't warn me. So I think taking the direct approach with saying, hey, y'all, look, we know gas prices are going high. We feel you on inflation. We're doing what we can. Here's the plan. This is what it looks like. Then move on to the next subject. But like you said, at least touch it and make it seem as though we're being our plight as far as these gas prices is being acknowledged. Right.
No doubt. And I think that's the type of communication. Again, I know people are checking in. They're saying, you know, Brock said, look, Brock Diamond, our president is trying, and all we do is nitpick. Sad state of affairs. No, it's not about nitpicking. This is not about nitpicking. I'm not going back and forth with the president and his messaging, his narrative, not going back and forth. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about, we knew the cause and effect. We knew Russia was going to go and attack Ukraine. We knew that there was going to be some blowback. Just let the American people know. That's one of the big things that this country does not do well in. We do not let the American people know what's going on the front end. Instead, we learn about stuff after articles, years, and all of this stuff has to happen. And then we're like, oh, that's what happened. Oh, damn, I didn't know that. But the presidents need to let people know on the front end and stop thinking that the American people don't have the resilience to be able to handle whatever is coming to this country. Like, we're just weak-minded individuals. They can't handle that, or we won't be able to say that, or no. Or look, if you speak truthfully about any situation, yes, the truth will hurt sometimes, but guess what? We will respect the leadership more if the truth is spoken more often. We will believe people. We will be like, okay, that was a hard pill to swallow, but at least they were honest. And now I can trust their judgment moving forward because they were honest at the very beginning versus all of this other stuff, Lise.
I agree. And I don't dislike his speech. I actually think Joe Biden did better than I expected. And I get what he was trying to do. He did the laundry list that every other president has done in the past. But I think that because of the situation that we're in, the pandemic that we're in, we're in a war at the time. Well, we weren't in it. There was a war going on at the time of the speech. I think that this would have been a great opportunity to say, hey, you know what? It's about to get worse, but we're Americans. We can handle it. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel, at least that. But I'm not the person that's nitpicking because I get it. He came in at a time where I don't know. Like, he came in at a very tricky time, but I wish he would at least said, you might need to twerk something in order to get
That is. We're going to end this conversation on that note. Look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. We're going to give you the latest developments with the WNBA superstar Brittney Griner. We're going to be checking in with journalist Ashley Banks to talk about that situation. And at the 4 o'clock hour, why are Black women still coming in last, even during an economic recovery? We'll talk to one Black business owner about her trials, her tribulations, her joys and challenges of owning a business as a Black woman in America. So stay with us. A lot to get to in the second 30 of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We're going to have this other conversation, something that has been developing over the past couple of days, especially in light of Russia and Ukraine going to war with one another. We want to talk about how WNBA star Brittney Griner, who has been in Russia for some time now, since February, talking about some of the latest developments in her case. And we want to bring in journalist who serves as a contributor for Essence and Revolt, Miss Ashley Banks, to be a part of this conversation. Ashley, thank you so much for checking in with us on The Culture here on the Black Star Network. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you so much, Raji, for having me. I think this is an important discussion that we're about to have.
Yes, absolutely. And in a few moments, we'll be bringing back our members of our culture crew, Iman Heath and Lise Winnie, in a moment. But Ashley, talk to us about what you have learned about this Brittney Griner situation. And then it still seems very like fuzzy and cloudy. The fact that she was in Russia before the conflict started, and then now she's still detained in Russia. But people are asking is, why was she in Russia in the first place?
Right. Like you said, Faraji, a lot of information is fuzzy. First of all, we have no idea how long Brittney has been in Russia. We just know that she had been going to Russia during the WNBA's offseason to participate in Russia's league. And there she was earning about $1 million annually. And she was only there to supplement her income, Faraji. As you know, WNBA players do not make nearly as much as NBA players. So sometimes they go overseas simply to supplement their income. And so all we know is that she had been there since February. She was arrested sometime in February for having vapor cartridges in her luggage that contained hashish oil. And so right now she's being detained. I was looking around trying to do some digging, and as of right now, no one really knows where she's detained, or at least that's not public information. And basically, Russian authorities released her mugshot today. And so that's like the first time many people have even seen Brittney Griner. And over the weekend, that's when it became public that she was even being detained. So many people are under the assumption right now that she's going to be used as a bargaining chip. As we know, the U.S. has levied loads of sanctions against Russia. So experts believe that now her detainment is going to be used for Russia's benefit. So we're going to have to see what happens there.
So there has not been any official word either from the Kremlin in Moscow or from the White House about any of this situation happening.
No, they've been, like you said, that word fuzzy. The Secretary of State didn't really give too much information about what's happening over there. I'm sure they're in talks trying to figure out what's going on and hopefully how to get her back. They say whenever an American is detained overseas, they do everything that they can to get them back. But Faraji, we've learned that there are 2 other Americans that were detained at some point over in Russia and now are there. They've been sentenced and they're carrying out their sentences in Russia. And the U.S. said they've been trying their best for years to get them back. So right now, many people are fearing that Brittney could end up facing those 10 years in jail for carrying those vapor cartridges if something isn't done. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But no, the U.S. government has kind of been hush-hush on the facts of this case.
You know, her wife, Zoe Kravitz, wrote on Instagram yesterday, quote, "There are no words to express this pain. I'm hurting. We are hurting. We await the day to love you as a family." So, you know, in that same message, she asked if the family would be given some privacy during this time as they try to figure it out. But then it was also reported to Ashley that she's getting some help from Congress. So talk to us a little bit about this effort by her congressperson.
Yes. So Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, she made some remarks that have been floating around on social media. And she's basically demanding Putin give back Brittney Griner and just saying what Putin is doing, first of all, by invading Ukraine is utterly ridiculous. But to hold Brittney Griner simply like hostage in Russia is not okay. So Representative Sheila Jackson Lee is doing all that she can in Congress to bring back Brittney Griner, but still at this time, information is so scarce when it comes to this case.
I want to bring back my culture crew members, Iman Heath, Elise Winnie, to be a part of this conversation. Iman, you played basketball. So talk to us a little bit about just being in that space where you have that access to kind of go around. Like, I don't know if you traveled abroad or overseas or anything like that. But talk to us about that experience.
On mute, of course. But usually for the experience, and like Ashley said, you know, WNBA players go overseas to supplement their income. But being able to move internationally as well, it comes with a price. And I had no idea that she was facing 10 years for the offense. I had no idea it was that amount of time. But honestly, I'm gonna say it's the accountability part. You have to be able to be accountable for your actions, because again, when you are playing basketball, playing a sport, especially as a woman, there are of course double standards, but certain things we just have to triple check over to make sure we do not get caught up in the mix up or the mess, especially as far as travels. Because as far as I've learned, that WNBA players have to provide their own fund their own costs to fly and whatnot. So when you have those type of stipulations on you, especially the spotlight, because Brittney Griner is very popular WNBA player. She's a seven-time All-Star. So it's just, we gotta be way more careful than what we've been. But it's a privilege to be able to go from one country to the next to do something that you love to do. But it comes with a price. We gotta be careful.
So at least, and I think to the point of her wanting to go over across the waters to make some additional income, you know, some people may start to criticize that, or that could be a way, especially now, it could be a way to heighten the conversation that WNBA players need to get paid more, so that way they don't put themselves in precarious scenarios like this one.
Yeah, I agree that, I mean, this is International Women's Day. We have seen that the women's soccer league now makes more money, so they were able to win that lawsuit that they had. I think that this is a conversation that we need to have. Women basketball players in the WNBA should be making more money. The unfortunate part is that the Americans, we say that, but we do not support the sport in the same way we support the NBA. If they don't have the marketing and the sponsors, and they don't have the people who are viewing it and buying the tickets, they're not going to get the higher pay. They're not going to pay them more. So as the public, we owe those WNBA players the same type of support that we give the NBA. Like, we need to buy tickets. We need to, share their content. We need to make sure that we're supporting them, so that the people at the top understand that people are going to pay to see it, and that people should put sponsors in the WNBA so that they can make more money. But absolutely they need to. I wish I could make a basket. The only baskets I know how to make, maybe a picnic basket, boo-boo, and Yogi the bake. That's it. That's all I think.
Well, let me ask you this though, Ashley. With that being said, I mean, this is kind of hitting from within the intersection of pay, gender pay, politics, and in sports. Like it all kind of comes crashing together in this one case. From your vantage point, what's the possibility that those things can be addressed and that Brittney Griner can come home?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did come across this report that said it had nothing to do with the pay. Of course, that's been a thing that people have been asking for years. But like your other guest just said, we have to support the WNBA for that to even take place. But I came across a report from an expert that said it would be in Russia's best interest to give Brittney Griner back, because basically their economy functions off of sports, just like ours does in a sense, right? And so over in Russia, when it comes to basketball players, they get most of their basketball players from America. It comes to American women. And so it would be in their best interest to send her back, because if they don't, then American women won't feel safe going to Russia. They're going to end up staying here and just not going and helping to boost their economy, essentially. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But as we know, when it comes to Putin does whatever the heck he wants to do. And it doesn't matter how many sanctions right now that the U.S. is levying against Russia, or other countries are levying against Russia or have levied against Russia. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, and if the conversation surrounding the pay with WNBA players versus NBA players actually becomes a real conversation, and something actually takes place in this country after this.
So as of right now, Brittney Griner is a political prisoner.
In a sense, yeah. And that's what a lot of people are saying, that she is a political prisoner, because once again, She was detained back in February at some point. We still don't know when that was, but it wasn't until this invasion took place that Putin even made the announcement that she was detained. So in a sense, yeah, you could call her a political prisoner. It's pretty sad. She went over there simply to supplement her income and to feel equal to NBA players in this country. And now, unfortunately, her safety is at risk, and she could spend the next 10 years over there in Russia in jail.
I mean, this is kind of very hard to wrap my mind around, just simply because I really, really hope and pray that Brittney is able to be released very, very soon. But I know that the tensions between the United States and Russia is very high. And, you know, with how things have gone, the language that's being used, just everything, it just seems like, you know, she might be sitting there. Hopefully she doesn't, but she might be sitting there for some time. And that's very concerning. Like, that is very, very concerning. Now, if they use her as a bargaining chip, and I'm asking all you ladies what your thoughts are about this. If they use her as a bargaining chip, is there any sense of what they might want from the United States at this point, Ashley?
So my thought would be they would want the U.S. to stop with the sanctions. I mean, even today we saw the Biden administration, it announced a ban on Russian oil imports, and that's a big deal, right? Trade is a huge deal. And so they have been getting slammed economically, and it's hurting them greatly. And so essentially what I would think is that Russia would want the U.S. to pull back on the sanctions. But my fear, Faraji, is that, not to like speculate or anything, is that because Brittney in 2020, she was very vocal and outspoken about police brutality, about social injustice. During that season, she basically demanded the WNBA stop playing the national anthem. And if they didn't, then she would stop playing the game that season. She also wore Breonna Taylor's name on the back of her uniform to bring awareness about what happened to Breonna Taylor. And so I am just hoping that she's not left out there to dry, because she was somebody who was outspoken about the issues in this country. She has said time and time again that she is proud of this country, right? She has pride for this country, rather. Her dad was a Vietnam vet. He was a police officer for 30 years. And before she became a basketball player, she thought she was going to become a police officer. But simply, she was out here protesting and demanding what's right for African Americans. So I'm just hoping that she's not left out there to dry. And we see the Congresswoman who's doing everything she can to bring her back home.
Iman, you got a question?
Yes, just to follow up about the work Brittney Griner was doing before she got to Russia. I did also see, in fact, that Russia cracks down, that's the terminology used, on the LGBTQ community. So Ashley did hit something on her nose when she said it could be, you know, possibly the situation as far as holding Brittney as a political piece, but she also fought against, besides police brutality, LGBT community. So I think that could also be a part that's playing into it as well. For Putin trying to, whatever he's trying to do, make his point with her, but that could be a good reason as to why she'll be held.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Really quickly, like you were saying, over there in Russia, they have very harsh laws against same-sex marriage. Like, it's banned. And so, like was just stated, yes, they could levy laws or penalties against her, in addition to the 10 years she could face for the drugs that she was carrying.
I have a question too, if it's okay, Faraji.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know that Trevor Reed, who is the former Marine who has been locked up in Russia since 2019, I know that they mentioned that his family was going to reach out to her family and maybe try to get something going, because they're saying, like, the Russian ambassador or the U.S. ambassador to Russia there actually said that his charges were completely false, like they were made up. Is there a possibility that if those two families, I'm not sure about the third American, if they are able to work together, if it could benefit Brittney in a way?
Ashley?
So I'm not sure as it pertains to that, but yes, there are two white men in Russia that are currently serving out sentences, and they say that they were sentenced on false charges. And what I believe could potentially happen is if they're not able to bring Brittney Griner back within the next few weeks, she could be sentenced to these 10 years. And we could see her carrying out this sentence just like these other two men, unfortunately.
And one of the things too about this whole scenario, Ashley, is the fact that the team that she went over, and this was something that news outlets are starting to see, that the Russian team that she was over, that she was connecting with, may be connected to a Russian oligarch, somebody that has close ties to President Putin, and as a result of that, of these sanctions, will not be able to make moves and to make the type of decisions they need to make in order to get Brittney free. So how does that play into the situation that if her Russian team or her Russian benefactors, the people that brought her over, are oligarchs, and then now their money is dried up, they won't be able to make any financial moves. And then at the same time, here in America, we're not supporting Russia TV. We're not supporting Russia, expression of any kind at this point. How do we break away from that to make sure that the story of Brittney Griner gets out there to the people?
Yeah, I think simply by doing what you're doing now, and there are a lot of people on social media who are doing everything that they can, but it's up to us, right, to pressure the government, our government, to get answers. We can't leave her out there, especially right now, what's happening with Russia. Putin is a dictator. Putin is going to do whatever he wants to do, like I said before. And although she did, Brittney might have had people in her corner that had close ties to Putin, they have to watch out for themselves. They have to protect themselves. They have to protect their bottom dollar, right? And their families. And so they don't want to get in between this. They don't want to have to, answer to Putin on this matter. And so it's up to us, the fourth estate, to really hold the US government accountable to do what they can. But it is against the law for the US government to bargain with American lives. And so it's going to be interesting to see what takes place here and if Putin really does use her as a bargaining chip and how the US responds. But better believe the Black community is watching the US government and their response on this. And it's up to us, once again, to just continue to pressure the US government and to follow through with the Congresswoman Lee, to see what happens here.
I know Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is a strong advocate of a lot of issues pertaining to our people, but I'm gonna be honest with you, Ashley. I'm a little bit nervous about holding this administration accountable, just because the track record of the Biden-Harris administration when it comes to matters that are highly important to us is not that strong. It's not that good. And so I'm wondering, how far up the totem pole, how much of a priority is the Brittney Griner case?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, Faraji. For instance, I wasn't surprised, and it needed to happen, but when I saw the announcement about the ban on the oil imports from Russia, I'm just like, are we even thinking about Brittney at this moment? Or are we just going to keep doubling down on Russia, which is something that needs to happen? But of course, we're not hearing much about Brittney Griner. So it's making me question what is going on, and is the administration, the Biden administration, doing anything? And like you said, a lot of the Black community does not have faith in the Biden administration at all. And so once again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But a lot of people have been criticizing this whole matter and saying that if it were an NBA player that were over there, let's say Steph Curry, for instance, was over there and detained, this country would be doing everything they could to get him back. Heck, he'd probably be back here in this country at this moment as we're speaking. Yeah. And so that's a great question that you're asking. Is she a priority? I mean, she hasn't been a priority when it comes to paying this country. So we're going to see if she really is a priority to this country and to get her back here safely.
I mean, and sisters, I really hope that she, by her being vocal, that doesn't become a consequence for her. You know what I'm saying, Iman? Like that it doesn't become a situation with the WNBA or the government or Russian government. Everybody's like, oh, so you one of them people. So
I honestly agree
therefore,
that could be it. Like you made a great point. I think it could be consequences, and there most likely will be consequences due to her opening her mouth or saying what she has to say on the back end. Also, her wife but it may be backlash depending on the comments that she tweets or what she has to say about, what they're doing in Russia as far as Brittney Griner, but it will be pushback. Then to even add the pay, like Ashley said, she already wasn't a priority here. So now that she's in Russia and we're just now finding out about her being detained, it's March 8th. We don't know how long she was detained for February, but she wasn't a priority then. I don't think it's going to change now unless she is used as a political pawn, and that'll be it.
yeah, I mean, and I'm thinking about the other time when they had ASAP Rocky, when Trump got him out of, you remember that, Ashley, when he was, he was, I forgot what country he was in, but ASAP Rocky was over there, hip hop artist.
Yeah, he wound up fighting. He got in a fight or something like that.
He got in a fight. But essentially, the president was able to, at that time, Trump was able to get him out of that situation, and
But Trump's relationship with Putin, if I'm not mistaken, was a little more favorable than
I mean, no doubt
with Biden.
No doubt.
So I think that plays a huge part in this case, and if Brittney will be a priority or not. So the relationship is the biggest thing.
Ashley, what do we need to do at this point? Of course, we're having this conversation, and certainly we'll be bringing you back on to keep us updated, because my hope is that this will come to a happy ending. But in the meantime, what do we need to do? What do we need to reach out to Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Jackson Lee? Do we need to send letters to the U.S. Embassy to advocate for her? What do people need to do her, especially the Black community?
Like you said, Faraji, the fact that your faith is not in, Sheila Jackson Lee, your faith is not in the Biden administration, you're not alone. And like you suggested, yes, reach out to Sheila Jackson Lee, hound her, figure out what the heck is going on, make sure she's doing her job to bring back Brittney Griner. The same thing if you have ties to any politicians, if you have your local congressman's contact information, Senate, whoever, reach out and make sure you're putting pressure on them to bring this woman back. Reach out to the WNBA, see what they can do, see what efforts they're making. But it's unfortunate because it shouldn't be up to the people. It shouldn't be up to the Black community. This should be on the government because it is a political matter. It's a foreign affairs matter. But as you and I know, right now, this is what's being told. These are the stories. Right now, she's in the headlines. But what happens when something bigger takes place this week or something bigger takes place next week? People are going to forget about Brittney Griner. Heck, a lot of people probably didn't even know, if you're not a sports person, you didn't know who Brittney Griner was before this even happened. So it's going to be easier for these people to forget her because they don't know her. She's in Russia and they're going about their daily lives. Yeah. So right now, obviously, for the Black community, the best thing that we can do is to just put pressure on the government to make sure they're doing everything necessary to bring her home. She's a 31-year-old woman who was just there to do a job, to be a basketball player. She didn't go there to be a political prisoner. She wasn't there protesting against anything in Russia. It's not fair what's happening to her. Simply, it's not fair. So we have to do our part and pressure the government.
Ashley Banks, thank you so much for checking in. And again, we'll bring you back to give us some more updates as this story develops. But we appreciate your time in breaking down some of the details. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come right back, let's shift gears. Let's talk about how women, Black women in particular, are still feeling the brunt of not going ahead or being a part of the economic recovery process. We'll be checking in with a Black business owner by the name of Chantel Clee to talk about her trials and her joys during this time. So we'll have that conversation. And then later, let's talk a little bit about how we are planning to celebrate International Women's Day. We'll have that conversation. And did you know Instagram is going to be featuring a new feature to help Black content creators? We'll have that discussion as well. Stay with us. A lot coming at you on the second hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, welcome back to the second hour of today's show as we continue to honor various women who are doing fantastic things and also talking about the great trials and tribulation of women. We just finished the story around the case of Brittney Griner, who is stuck in Russia right now. Can you imagine? She's stuck in Russia, and we're still trying to figure out what happened, how long she's been there, but most importantly, how can we bring her back home? And so, again, folks, as you heard our contributor Ashley Banks talking about, just some of the big struggles and the obstacles of getting her back, and we need to make sure that we put the necessary pressure on the Biden-Harris administration. Calls to the U.S. Embassy, calls to Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and others to bring the story of Brittney Griner, to the forefront. Doesn't matter whether she plays for the WNBA or not. She's a Black woman who is in a country that may not see her and look upon her favorably. And so we just need to make sure that we galvanize and organize and use our respective platforms to bring Brittney Griner home. All right. But we want to switch gears in this next conversation because As we are celebrating International Women's Day, we're also finding that women are still being put to the side. And we're finding that, and this is the case in the when you're dealing with the issue of business and women moving progressively. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Black women were one of the groups hit the hardest by unemployment. The BLS stats show that February had been a great month for the economy since COVID, but Black women in particular continue to struggle. The national unemployment rate fell from 4% to 3.8%. However, even with the increase of more jobs, Black women were still left behind. I want to bring back my culture crew, Iman Heath, who is an entrepreneur and activist. And then we're also joined by Lise Winnie, who serves as the host of Millennial Anonymous podcast. And in a few moments, we'll bring in Chantel Klee, who serves as the president and executive producer for Chantel Klee Productions, and giving us her insight about the situation. But very quickly, Lise, when you look at how Black women are left behind during this economic recovery, why is that?
I think that's a great question. One thing I think, of course, with systemic racism, that it impacts almost everything that we do. And not to mention that Black women are not only Black, they're also women. So women tend to have to leave the workforce because they tend to rear the children. So they have to take off time from work. Therefore, they're not able to climb the same way up the corporate ladder that a man could, because they do have to take more time off of work. And then, of course, with sexism and with racism, it holds people back. I think one of the reasons why is because a lot of Black women tend to be in service roles or sales roles. Those were the roles, especially when you look at the pandemic, that were hit the hardest. So when people had to stop working, they were mostly in sales, they were mostly in, retail, and those really impacted Black women. So at this point, unfortunately, we're still seeing this same type of narrative and rhetoric, but hopefully that we will start to get towards a better place for Black women. This is unfortunate, and not just Black women, but also women of color, because Hispanic women actually make less than all of the women. So we do need to look at them as well, because they've also been impacted by not just the pandemic, but life in general.
Absolutely. Iman, what's your take on this? Black women still being left behind even during this economic recovery.
So according to the Harvard Business Review, 61% of Black women self-fund their startup costs. So to even try to get a loan to start a business, depending on what the business it is, and like Lee said, it's mostly retail. We go into independent health fields. We're caretakers. It's a lot more that we do as far as frontline service, and only 47% of white women go into those fields as an entrepreneur. So being a business owner and seeing both sides of the coin, it's a tough situation to be in. And why are we still having this same conversation about equality as far as starting and having our businesses? And to say that we've fallen behind, we have. People don't spend money if they don't have the money. On top of groceries going up, and like we're seeing now, gas prices going up, people have less money in their pocket to afford those services that we were providing or being able to provide, and we're going to get hit hard for it.
It's going to be a very, very hard hit. I want to bring in Chantel Klee, who is the founder and executive producer of of Klee Productions, which is a small business based out of the Baltimore area. Chantel, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. It's good to have you on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Happy International Women's Day, Chantel.
Thank you. And happy International Women's Day to my fellow sisters on the panel.
Hey,
thank
you. Chantel, so talk to us a little bit about, some of the things that you've been experiencing, because according to Business Insider, they're saying that Black women saw unemployment rate from 5.8% in January to 6.1% in February, while other groups saw their unemployment rate stay the same or fall. How is that? I mean, you're a Black woman, you own a business, you run a business, but yet it still seems that Black women are not a part of this economic recovery. What are you seeing from your side?
Well, one, we have to recognize that Black women are the most disrespected women across the board, right? And so
Right.
with that's one layer, right? And then we are the caretakers oftentimes, not just of our immediate family, of our children, but a lot of times we are also the caretaker of our older parents or grandparents in some cases. And so and we're also trying to make sure that we are trying to juggle the groceries and the utilities within our house. And sometimes, and we have to be real, we're helping other family members in their households. And we're still trying to be the teacher and the assistant principal for virtual school. And we also being the technology support for our business. And it's just a lot. And I think a lot of people, not just outside of the Black community, but within the Black community, they really do take the strength of a Black woman for granted. And so when it gets to the working world, they don't value what we do, what we bring to the table. However, they know who to call on when they are in a crisis, and it's the Black woman each and every time.
Each and every time. Y'all don't miss, y'all don't forget, y'all always are there for us. But it seems like there needs to be more support for Black women in this country. And as a business owner, or do you feel like you are getting the necessary support that you need?
There are resources out there, but do I feel like they are readily available for the Black woman that's juggling all of these things? Not always. And it's for a myriad of different reasons. One, businesses are some businesses started during the COVID pandemic. So people are learning on the fly. Some people really, if you're trying to build a plane and fly it, you may not always have time to fill out the grant. You may not even have the resources to bring in somebody that specialize in grant writing to ensure that you are looked upon favorably to receive the actual grant. It's a lot of different reasons as to why we are not really getting the resources that we so very well deservingly need, because we are the ones that are birthing not just the next generation, but the culture, right? A lot of people take from our culture, but it's coming from the womb of a Black woman.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Nobody is giving back to us at the rate in which they should.
Absolutely. And from your vantage point, Chantel, in terms of not just the support, but what are some of the big challenges that you see happening that you have been confronted with that may spill over into the next generation of business women will possibly have to confront?
How long is your show for, Roger? I mean, I'm trying to figure out how long we're going to be on here, because I have how long are we going to be? From the fact that we are saving the country from itself over and over again. The challenges in just making sure our kids are properly educated, or making sure that we actually even have, food that provides proper nourishment in our community, having elected officials that represent us, the environment. I really feel like that was a setup question for Raji. I don't know where to start. Because we have so many different elements that affect the Black woman, which then trickles down to the Black family, that we're just underrepresented and just constantly just overlooked and disrespected. But like I said earlier, people know where to call when they need help and when they need saving, and they need some get right. They call a Black woman each and every time. And so unless we, and this is not a part of the question, but I do appreciate that we, have a beautiful, dreaded chocolate Black woman that could possibly be on the Supreme Court next, right? But getting there, why are we still making Black history in 2022?
Well, I mean, and I'm gonna let my sisters, speak to that, because I ask the same question all the time. Like, we're still being first in 2022, at least. Like, what's going on with that?
I think that the question is there not enough opportunities given to Black women, and I think it's also, or Black people rather, and I think it's also a level of exposure. Unfortunately, because there is this limit to what a lot of people think that Black people are able to do, or Black women are able to do, they don't always get the exposure. If you go out, and I used to be in the nonprofit world, and I in workforce development, and you talk to the children, Black children, and you ask them what they can do, they think it's like 5 things. So if you don't know that the limit is not the sky, you're not going to say the sky is the limit. You're going to stop right there. And I think that that's also something that we need to make sure that Black people and Black girls understand that you can be a scientist, you can be a doctor, you can be an engineer, you can do these things, even if you don't see anyone quite like you that looks that way. But it is definitely an uphill battle, because we have to constantly prove that we are competent no matter what. And it's unfortunate that even in 2022, that is still the case.
And Shan, yeah, go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Iman. Go ahead.
What boggles my mind about this, like you ladies are saying, 1/4 of Black women in the general population have a college degree. 3/4 of Black women that are entrepreneurs have a degree. So even with a paper saying, I'm good at this, I'm great at that, I have expertise in this, we still don't get those equal opportunities. We're told to push, go to college, do this and do that for 4 years, then graduate, get your doctorate or get your master's, but we still aren't afforded those same opportunities. And again, it's a systemic racism that's been going on forever. And like Lee said, add on being a woman. So on top of my skin color being an issue, now my sex is an issue, because I now may be looked at as incapable. I mean, I have the same potential as a man, and this opportunity that has really swayed while we're still having the same conversation in 2022.
And I think, to your point, Iman and Chantel, I know that the work that you do, I mean, you do event production, right? But you have a team, because I've worked with you on this. You actually have a team of other Black women that you lead to do this work. And I mean, it seems like you make an effort to bring on competent, qualified women and men, of course, but you really do make an effort to make sure that Black women are put in the space where they can succeed. And do you think that's the secret to success for
the real secret to success is you bring on the best people that can help you succeed, right? You want your business to grow, you want your brand and your name to grow, and ultimately, as a business owner, I want my clients to be pleased. But oftentimes, we just know what we're doing. I mean, I hate to say it, like we woke up like this, right? And so
don't hate to say it, Chantel. Don't hate to say it.
I won't. I mean, I just want everybody to know, like, people come to us for a reason. It's not just because our melanin is beautiful, because we know what we're talking about. And a lot of the things that we birth, we are ground zero. And so when it comes to being intentional on making sure I am partnering with other business women, it's not just because of the agenda, but they are the best in the field and in the space in which I am consuming. And the other piece to it is, oftentimes we don't get a lot of opportunities within an event. Production can be a very male dominated space. Yeah. And so a lot of times, guys will look at me as I am crazy when I'm asking for certain things, and I'm speaking their lingo. And a lot of times, they want to mansplain me and things of that nature. And when I work with women that understand that, I don't have to decode what they're saying. We understand the language and we work towards excellence. I don't have to be in a space where I'm guessing, do I need to make sure I'm getting, I'm hiring the right amount of women versus men ratio. I don't have that issue. I woke up as a Black woman. I'm gonna close my eyes as a Black woman, and I'm very comfortable with making sure I'm pulling my sister up because somebody had to do it for me, and I still want to continue to climb, right? And in order for us to continue to birth this beautiful culture, I have to help support. I have to be my sister's keeper, even though a lot of people across the country don't do that for us. I know that what I do is not just supporting and entertaining and educating and empowering the Black community, but it's for my sister because she has within her the womb to give birth to the next generation. And so just on that alone, I respect that because I'm a mother, right? And having a business, birthing a business and having kids, it's a lot. And so why not? And again, like we know what we're doing. Like we come in, a lot of people are calling Olivia Pope for a reason.
Right.
And everybody looking at Black women like we're all Olivia Popes in whatever field we're in because we know what we're doing. And when the country need help, who they call? They're coming to Black churches on Sunday mornings. They're making sure they come in there on when they wear the good big hats, whatever Sunday that is. Right? Their political campaigns are making sure that they understand what Sunday is the best Sunday because they know they're gonna touch the pews where the Black woman resides.
Amen. Iman, go ahead. What's your take? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Like she was saying, we have to be the ones to pass the baton. We have to be the ones to say, you know what, sis, I see in this area something may be off. Let me help you. There is enough money in this country to go around. There is enough. You don't have to downgrade your sister who may be in the same field as you. Oh, her balloon arch isn't as nice as mine, or her color scheme isn't as nice. We don't have to do that. There is a customer for every entrepreneur. And this is a fun fact in case nobody knew, because Chantel said this as well in a sense. Black women, we are the creators. That's what we are. According to our genotype, and this is a fact, the Black woman has every genotype possible there is to create. So we literally do wake up like this. We woke up being this creator because that's what we are and who we are. But we got to pass the baton. Just because I may braid hair and sister down the street, Ashley might braid hair, I wouldn't say, oh, her quality isn't this, her quality isn't that. Or, hey, sis, how can I help you? How can I assist you? Because, again, we have that womb literally to birth and create this flourishing culture as far as Black women as entrepreneurs. But we have to pass the baton and stop being afraid of maybe she'll get ahead before I do. Maybe she'll crack the code before I do. You don't always have to be the first. Just be a part, and that's okay.
Right. And the other thing that I would say, and I tell some of my other friends, I'm not in competition with my sister. Everybody else is beating down on us. I don't need to fight my sister. Right. And I work hand in glove with two strong women, Intel Media Group. And when one get a project, we call the other. When the other get a project, we make sure we are each other's keepers, because a lot of not just the world, but again, sometimes Faraji, and I don't want to say this I hate to say this on your show, but Black men don't look out for Black women the way that they should.
No, say that. Say that.
So we got to make sure we have each other's back. And so we always say, if you can get a bag, sis, I want you to get the bag. And even if I'm not on a project, let me know how I can help you. Because what I know for sure is that we live in a country where they print their own money. And so there's no way in the world that if you getting something and I don't get it, that I have to hate on you. Absolutely not. We got the rest of the world hating on us. We need to band together. So if there's any way that I can lend my time and talent and efforts to help another sister, that's what I'm here to do, because I give from a space where I would want somebody to give to me, because I don't always know it all. Right. And as I continue to grow, whatever I have and whatever I've gleaned from other people, I want to sow that seed into another, or to another Black person, to another Black woman, so that they can continue to grow. And the other thing, more importantly, what is for me is for me. And what's for my sister is for my sister. And so me hating on another sister is not going to stop the blessings that I have for me, because just like these glasses I have on my face, my prescription is for me to see through. That's what God gave me. So what he has lined up for me is for me. And if I give my sister my glasses for her to see through, she's not going to be able to see through. You know why? Because that prescription is not prescribed for her. She has her own glasses. She has her own lens to see through. She has her own journey. But who's to say that I can't help to make those corrections? You know, when the doctor is you're in the doctor's chair and they're flicking the different little nozzles or whatever. Why can't I be that person to help make the adjustments to make it a more cleaner or crisper or a smoother path for my sister? Because the way in which I give is the way in which God gonna bless me back. So I want my sister to win. When she win, when my sister win, I win.
So when we look at this situation, Lise, and hearing Chantel, I'm inspired, you know, but I think one of the big things is that, you know, if Black women aren't getting support from the industry, and then Black women aren't getting support from the community or at home, then there's still some work that needs to be done, especially bringing Black men into a space to respect the Black woman enough to want to support her. Because some men still are old school in their thinking that, oh, the woman can't make more money than me, or a woman can't make greater progress than me, therefore I'm not going to support her, you know? And that's that foolish, misogynistic type of thinking that has kept us in a place where we can't thrive, at least. And that's something I'm for this show. My biggest show, some people have always kind of gotten on me about, you know, when you so for women. Yeah, bro, because I know that we as Black men, I know how we were broken down. I do understand that, but we don't have to stay down and then at the same time bring our sisters down, bring our wives down, bring our mothers down, bring our aunties down. So how do we make things a little bit better and smoother for women?
I think you kind of nailed it, hit the nail on the head. You have the communication has to be there, that women are not a threat to Black women are not a threat to Black men. In that way, it can't be us against them, and if they succeed, we can't succeed. So having that open dialogue and the communication and making sure that people know that you can run your life the way you want to, because I think sometimes men get into this old school, that's the way my grandfather did it, so that's the way it has to be, or that's the way it used to be, and that's the way it has to be. And so making sure that everybody understands that it doesn't have to be that way. And then also when it comes to helping out Black women, making sure that we are passing things, because Black women do hold most of the student loan debt. So making sure that there are bills and things to help Black women with student loan debt, making sure that Black women who are the fastest growing entrepreneurs or the business owners, making sure that they're getting support. We're seeing more and more companies that are offering them loans and offering them grants, but we need more of that. And we need people to go out and support. If you see that there's a Black woman or Black owned business, make sure you support that business and you share it. And not just sharing a business because the person is Black. I want to make this very clear. You share the business because the business is good and it just so happens to be owned by a Black person or a Black woman, because that's how you are able to really make things move forward, so that people know that there's really, really great Black women or female business owners that are doing great things. So making sure you have the open communication, dialogue, and support amongst the community. And I think that's what will try to start to move us forward.
I love it.
In this world.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I add two things?
Sure, please.
One, it was the Black women during the suffrage movement, right, that made sure that Black men were no longer counted as 3/5. Black women did that to make sure that we all had the ability to vote as whole human beings. I don't know the name of the male suffrage movement that did that. It's the Black women, right? And you know, we're making sure that we're highlighting. We're making sure we're highlighting I can't even think of the baby, the Susan B. Anthony's, I think it's the other white one, but it's Ida B. Wells, her brains and intelligence, and all the other Black women that were backing them. That's what really pushed it over the edge. And even once we did that, they still tried to put us in the backseat. They were like, all right, we got here, y'all still Black women, y'all can sit in the back. But you use our brains and intelligence to get you where you are. Right,
and not even our brains too, our DNA.
Right.
Henrietta Lacks.
Yeah.
They still making profits. John Hopkins still making profits off of her, literally.
Right.
Right.
And so I think that the one thing that we have to do to make sure that we continue to make sure that we're making space for ourselves, because nothing moves in this country except through laws and legislation. So we need to make sure that we have more Black women represented from the federal level all the way down to the local school board level, to make sure that we have somebody that is speaking out on our behalf and on behalf of our families and our babies, so that they know. And let me just put a side note: all skin folk ain't kinfolk. I'm gonna say that,
right?
And I'm gonna right there. But also making sure that we have people that truly understand the journey, the struggle, and have not just empathy but sympathy for what we're going through, what we've been through, and where we want to go. Black people not sitting around, contrary to what most people believe, we're not just sitting around just trying to collect a check. When y'all run them food stamp numbers, we not at the top of the charts. Okay, Black people ain't at the top of the charts.
Say that.
And then the other thing too is making sure you are intentional. Black people outspend every other demographic. We run this country through our dollars, not just through our dollars, but through our votes. So if we're not being intentional on making sure we are spending our money in our community, we're going to keep having this conversation because we're not being intentional. Now, we'll go into a store and let a white company or a white establishment disrespect us and our dollar, which is our voice and our vote, and keep coming back. But let you go into a Black establishment and they are late for whatever reason, or they're behind. You want to drag that individual, you want to drag that company, but you don't go back to support them. And then you're back in the same cycle, fussing about what's not right with your community, what Black people are not doing. You did not take the time to say, hey, brother, hey, sister, this was my experience. This is how you can improve. And making sure that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to bring somebody with you so that we can go through, what customer service should look like, or whatever the experience is, how you can come back to support. Because one thing that we don't do is be intentional on making sure, or what we haven't done. I won't say what we don't do. What we haven't done on a consistent basis is making sure that we come back to support other Black businesses. And we really do have to realize that money is printed in this country. Go straight down $2.95 to the Mint.
Go ahead.
And so you don't have to overdo or overshadow or outshine somebody else, or be the gatekeeper and not let other Black people to the table. You can share the wealth because we print our money here.
Chantel, I couldn't have said it better myself. I am just so grateful for your time today because I think you gave a perspective, but most importantly, you've inspired a lot of us to think differently about the role of Black women, even though Black women are behind, economically, according to the reports. Y'all are far ahead, and there's no doubt that y'all will continue to pull ahead. And look, you got our full support on this side, on this platform, on this network, because I know without a shadow of doubt, as long as I've been doing media work, there's nobody more loyal to listening or watching you than Black women. I know that. I absolutely know that. And so it would be absolutely insane for me to not just speak to your interests, but to create a space where these conversations could happen. So I'm just grateful, and I thank you so much, Chantel, for your time today.
Thank you for what you're doing for other sisters.
Absolutely. Because these sisters right here, Lisa and Iman, they're gonna keep me in check, Chantel. They're gonna remind me.
Listen, I don't mind gathering him. Let's get it together.
It's appreciated.
And then I got the other one who's not on here. She will keep me in check as well. My wife. Right. So that's all good. Chantel Clee, who serves as the executive producer for Clee Production. You can find her on Instagram and Facebook. But Chantel, thank you so much. We'll certainly bring you back here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about what Instagram is doing to benefit Black content creators. We'll have that. And of course, trends, posts, and doing the most. Stay with us. It's the culture on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, thank you so much for joining us here on International Women's Day. Now, I want us to have a conversation about technology, as we know that oftentimes Black folks are not a part of the conversation when it comes to social media and the impact of social media. Recently, we saw that there have been a number of Black content creators that have decided to take their talents and move elsewhere because they found that the current platforms, Instagram, TikTok, any of those social media platforms, those platforms have not accurately put out their work, and most importantly, have not paid them well for their work. There was a study that was recently done it was published by a communications company by the name of MSL, and they did this study that was published in December of last year. And they found that twice as many white influencers, and these are the people that you see on social media who might be talking about a product or who might be trying to sell a service or who might be talking about a particular cause to influence you and I to join that cause. twice as many white influencers are making upward of $100,000 a year as are black ones who are making similar content to similar sized audiences. Now, this report that was also done with an educational organization by the Influencer League found that the report also found that a 29% pay gap between white creators and all creators of color. So how are we planning to address this issue? Well, two sisters, two black women. I told you this is going to be all about black women and all about women today. Alexis Michelle Ajayi and Cameron Boyd, two black women who are data analysts and engineers for Instagram. They brainstormed and created the label for black influencers to ensure that black creators will make a living off the trends and content they create through social media. And so Cameron Boyd, who is a graduate of Spelman College, she went on to say, quote, "We want to ensure that as black creators' content is being distributed as it already is, they are getting the proper attributions so that they have the opportunity to get all of those growth and monetization and career starting opportunities like their contemporaries are. It's really critical as we're moving toward this new age where creators are so important and creators are really able to use their craft to support themselves in their lives, that black creators are getting the same opportunity as they're already creating the content." I want to bring back my culture crew, Iman Heath, Lise Winnie. Lise, you know about this. One of the big things that these social media platforms are really trying to figure out and deal with is how to create a safe space, a welcoming space for black content creators, because simply black content creators are driving the sales of ads. They are bringing people to these platforms, but they are also not the most respected of the content creators either.
I agree. Black content, especially now, is being consumed on such a big scale, not just by black people, but all people. Because now when you look at who's making the TikTok dances, it's black people, but they don't always get the credit for it, as we've seen that when I don't remember I'm old, y'all, forgive me. I don't remember the name of the dance, but the girl that actually did it didn't get the credit until the people on TikTok and Instagram were like, wait a minute, this white woman did not create this dance. She needs to get credit for it. So we do need to make sure that not only do platforms understand that black people are definitely driving a lot of the sales and they're driving a lot of the views and the impressions, but also understanding that you have to make sure that they get recognized and get compensated for the things in their contributions. And this is business. It's the business world where we're seeing that its ugly head, where a lot of the times black content is seen as less than. They put it in a genre. Oh no, that's just for black people. And then we've seen this for years and years and years, that black music has been ripped off and then remade by a white person who got way more credit for it. So hopefully that companies will start to understand that you cannot devalue black content and black people.
No, you can't devalue black content and black people, Iman. Because
we gotta make sure we be a part of the team. We have to make sure we use the hashtags or the accessible resources that they're giving us now. We also got to remember that part. They can give it to us, but we got to use it as well. And like Lise was saying on TikTok, I believe you're talking about the dance with Megan Thee Stallion dance with Cash something. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Let's go with that.
Huh?
Let's go with that one.
Yeah, we're gonna go with, I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah, they wound up getting their credit for it, but after everyone made a big deal about it, so we just got to keep that ball rolling. It's a good ball. It's moving, but we just got to keep it rolling. Don't forget to add those hashtags and whatnot when Instagram does give those like buy black. I don't know if you want to call it I don't know, the hashtag or what they call when you press that little paper thing in the corner, but we got to use it. Got to use it. Yeah,
I mean, and I think that it's not just about a hashtag as much as it about creating awareness, right? It's just as important about in a few moments, and Keenan, if you can pull up that, I want the people to see these two dynamic sisters they're changing the game at Instagram. Because let me just tell y'all, folks, women, particularly Black women, are not in those tech spaces to think about Black content creators. I always go back to this. When you go on social media, this is the mind of white men, young white engineers, brilliant, but they're not thinking about Black content creators. The algorithms don't think about what we as a people in our culture. It doesn't take those things into consideration.
A lot of us don't even understand what the algorithm is. I just caught on to what the algorithm is and learned about it, I want to say the beginning of December, just catching on to the trends and the reels and the certain sounds to use and what time to post and what hashtag to use and what order. It's a equation to it all. A lot of us don't even know. So like you said, we need to be more considerate of those Black content creators who don't get thought about because of who engineers the platforms.
No, absolutely. And those content creators, Lise, I mean, when we're talking about the dollars and cents, I mean, if white content creators are getting upwards of $100,000, twice as much as Black content creators, pretty much for the same content, that's a huge disparity. That's a huge problem. And, I know one thing that Brother Roland talked about was, going to Fanbase and using that app. But again, a lot of times we're not going to go to those alternative spaces, Black-owned spaces, because why? We don't believe that the quality is there. We don't believe that the capacity is there and all of those things. And so we come back, we might jump off for a minute and be like, oh, no, I'm going back to Instagram. I'm going to get more likes on my pictures for that one. Or I'm going to go back to Facebook. And it's fine. And we want to do it, but we can't give up the ball. We can't stop pushing for diversity. We can't stop pushing for Black content to be out there on the forefront.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. When you look at it's not even just, I think, the Black apps, because unfortunately white and Black people alike devalue Black things. So if it's Black owned, we look at it slightly differently. We look at it with the side eye. We think you can get a discount if you walk into a Black establishment, or it's not worth whatever the product is that they're selling. So I do agree with that, I think. But also, when you're looking at influence, you need the bigger stars and influencers in order to get on those apps. It's going to be very hard for a Black influencer, because if they are making money, now that most of them aren't, for them to give up that paycheck in order to move to the next apps without a guarantee that they'll be able to make any money at all. So it does take the people at the top when it comes to influence in order to make a difference when it comes to apps and getting people on those apps. But when you talk about engineering and getting into IT, we do need, and this is again making sure that the girls, Black women and Black men and boys know that this opportunity is out there. If you don't see anybody doing that, you don't know that there's an opportunity to do it. So making sure that our children also get that exposure so that we can sit in those seats.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up the segment, Keenan, if you could please pull up, I just want to see, look, these are the two sisters behind this effort. These are the two sisters behind this effort, folks. Data analysts for Instagram.
They look so relatable. Like they look like,
you know what I mean? They look like somebody you have a glass of wine with, right?
Yes. Pour the tea, sis. Absolutely.
But this is Sister Cameron Boyd. And this is, let me make sure I get the other sister's name, Alexis Michelle Ajayi and Cameron Boyd. So these are the two women, data analysts, engineers for Instagram. These are the two women behind making sure that Black content creators are getting their proper respect and getting the money for their content.
Black women being the backbone yet again.
You got to be at the table. Look, let me tell you. If never crap on someone who wants to get into the tech space, especially Black women. Black women are so needed in technology, in the tech space. It's crazy. It's an industry that is dominated by young white males. And so it is important that our sisters understand that, yes, you can have beauty and all of those things, but if you are want to be an engineer, if you want to be in technology, there is a place for you. And so we just have to make sure that that we are aware that those opportunities are there. Do not put a pin in the brain of young black girls and telling them that they can't do something.
Don't. We're gonna get it done, and we're gonna do it even better than what you thought it could have been.
Right.
Tell a Black woman she can't do something.
Right. Right.
Tell a Black woman she can't do something. I double dare you. I double dare you. Watch what she do.
All right. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, trends, posts, and doing the most. Stay with us. It's the culture on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks, we're continuing to celebrate women today, as it is International Women's Day. And for today's trends, posts, and doing the most, what better way than pulling up something that's trending right now? Zoe Kravitz, folks. Zoe Kravitz. This is the daughter of rocker Lenny Kravitz and actress Lisa Bonet. And when y'all see a picture of Zoe, y'all gonna say she looks just like Lisa. First, let me bring my crew back. Look at she looks just like Lisa Bonet.
She is beautiful. This is for a Batman movie. Come through. Right. Come through.
Here's the situation, Iman and Lise. Check this out. So Zoe made it known today that she lost out on an audition for the movie, another Batman movie that came out in 2012, The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Rises. The reason she said that she lost the audition or she didn't get the part, and she was not trying to get Catwoman in that movie or anything, but she just wanted to be in a film. She said because they told her she was too urban. Her skin color wasn't right.
For Zoe Kravitz? Like, what is Zoe Kravitz?
Look, in just 10 years ago, this ain't like her skin color wasn't right.
Wow. Lise, I know she's lighter. She at least lighter than Lise. I know that. Like,
yeah.
No, she's real light.
She is light. She's light. She looks like her mom. I mean, she's like a spitting image of her mom. If y'all remember Lisa Bonet from the Cosby Show. I had a crush on Lisa Bonet back in the day. I think a lot of dudes did, though. I just liked everything about her. You know what I'm saying? She was just dope. But she still looked the same. Like she aged so well. Looks like she looks so beautiful. But anyway, so Zoe said that she was doing this interview and she said that she didn't get the part because they were talking about how urban she looked, her skin color. And she put out a statement earlier today saying that when she mentioned that she didn't want to put anybody on blast, She said, I did not mention this to point any fingers or make anyone seem racist, namely Chris Nolan, the director of the film's producers, or anyone on the casting team, because I truly do not believe anyone meant any harm. I was simply given an example of what it was like to be a woman of color in this industry at that time.
So this is my question. What is urban? What is
urban?
Come on,
Iman.
No, I know what urban is, but she's very, very, very light skinned. She has small facial features. You know, they say us African Americans, big nose, big lips, really punctual features. But everything about her is so petite and very light. So what is urban? Because Faraji, if they think she's urban, look at us.
Yeah,
we're beyond urban. So what is urban? If she's giving urban, then what are we?
We black market.
We underground.
We underground. We not even seen right now. It's like take your ass. No, but I mean that's what she and I get it. But see, I think it's the simple fact that this just happened 10 years ago, folks. This has happened to a young woman. This wasn't like now. If it happened to Zoe Kravitz, who is still an emerging star, like Batman right now, is bringing in crazy amounts of money. Mm-hmm. Like she's getting rave reviews as Selena Kyle in Catwoman right now, right? But can you imagine the stories of like Halle Berry? Can you imagine the story of like one of my favorite actresses, Angela Bassett?
Viola Davis.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Viola Davis, who is the dark woman,
yeah.
Right? And I mean, I'm sure she has been told some crazy stuff in her years being a part of the industry. And she's gorgeous. She's absolutely beautiful. And like Viola Davis opens the door for Lupita Nyong'o.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that colorism in that colorism situation is still a big thing. But that's the part for me, Lisa, about this story that I'm just like blown away. I'm like, yo, this is just 10 years ago. This wasn't 25, 30 years ago. This is 10 years ago. And she was a young woman.
Yeah, she's almost clear, and you're telling me she's urban. So I was like, I'm urban, I'm good, like because of my skin complexion. And this is interesting because her mother is biracial, her father is biracial. So if this is the way that they're treating people that look like Zoe Kravitz, like you said, I can only imagine what people like Viola Davis have to deal with. And then, Cheryl Lee Ralph came out recently and said she was talking to a casting. Let's just fire all the goddamn casting directors, because apparently it's a problem with the casting director. Because she came out and she said that a casting director told her, like, you're a beautiful black woman, but what do I do with you? I can't put you on screen with Tom Cruise. You couldn't kiss him. Who would watch that film?
Oh, and wow. This is recent?
No, this was years ago, but it's just a matter. I mean, it was still in probably like the 90s.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So this is where we're at. And it's unfortunate because that's not even close to being true. Like, so I don't know what we need to do. Like I said, maybe let's get some more black people in those casting roles so that we can try to change the narrative of what it even means to be black. Like, let alone just talking about the colorist side, but what does it mean to be black? Because I think we also need to expand that as well. Like we joke about, I said she was clear, but she's no less black than I am. So
imagine the brown paper bag test, though. Brown paper bag test. Let's talk about that. That happened decades ago. But like Faraji said, that was 10 years. That's not that far.
That's not that far.
2012. It's not far at all.
And look, and check this out. Let's look at the attitudes around race just 10 years ago in this country, right? Like we're seeing a lot more, of course, now I think we're seeing a lot more interracial couples. We're seeing a lot more dark skin,
interracial, yeah.
You know what I mean? Dark skinned women and men. Like, when I think of one of dark skinned men, from Chadwick to my man from This Is Us. I can't remember. Idris Elba. What about the brother that from This Is Us? He's a phenomenal actor.
Lance Gross?
No. Lance Gross.
Isn't he
was in Black Panther. He was Killmonger's father. He played Killmonger's father in it, but I cannot think of his name. He's an amazing actor.
Right. It wasn't Lance Gross.
No. Shout out to Lance Gross, though. I just want to say that's
very attractive.
But I mean, when you think about dark-skinned actors, like there's still a situation in Hollywood today where dark skin is still seen as a risky investment.
Mm-hmm.
And brown skin and light skin is still like, okay, that's a safe choice.
Sterling K. Brown, that's his name.
Sterling K. Brown, that's my guy. I think he's a phenomenal actor. Does great. Even Mahershala, I think I'm saying his name correctly.
He's going to play Blade.
He's going to play Blade, right?
Ooh,
but then you speak of Blade. Imagine what Wesley Snipes probably had to go through. Like he was typecast for being too dark. You know what I mean? In some of the films. So you never really saw Wesley Snipes in like a love story.
Right. He was always the villain.
He was either the black man, like, you know what I mean? The strong black man that, you know.
I never thought about this. I never thought about this that far.
So the colorism situation is so big, and I appreciate Zoe coming out about it. I mean, I know she says she's not trying to make it a big deal, but I think it's important that women share their stories, because if we don't know their stories, we can't make the change.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, I agree 100%. I've been called urban, and so I understand what that feels like. So I think that more women should come out and speak and tell their stories, especially about colorism, because I've met way too many people, black and white, that don't think that it exists.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part, ladies. If we, as the consumers of film and television, if we get caught up in colorism, then that's why these big movie production houses, they can do what they do. They can say certain things to certain actors and actresses because they say, "Oh no, but the people, the film goers, they don't like that." So they hide behind us. So we have to make sure that we're not putting in ourselves in the way where we need a light skin or a dark skin actor, unless you're playing a role like a biography or something. You're trying to get close to it. Right. But let's keep it real. Denzel Washington does not look like Malcolm X.
Listen, not at all. And I can keep it real. Black Hawk and Hawkeye becoming Captain America. I'm going to be honest. Even as a black person, can we keep Captain America white? Like I don't like the.
No, that's a whole different.
Yeah, that's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation.
Okay. Because I don't like it. I don't really like it. I'm sorry. Even as a black person, I'm not feeling it.
That's a different conversation, ladies. We gotta go. But I truly appreciate y'all. Lise Winnie, Iman Heath, thank you so much for joining us. I always appreciate the conversation on Tuesdays. So thank you again for joining us. Again, happy International Women's Day, sisters. Y'all continue to be great in everything y'all do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Big shout out to Zoe. Big shout out to all the women. We thank Chantel. We thank Ashley. Thank you. All of the ladies out there. This is your month, but if you're doing some really incredible things, you know what? I would love to hear your story. So just email me at faraji@blackstarnetwork.com, FARAJII@blackstarnetwork.com. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Faraji Muhammad, on Twitter at Faraji Muhammad, FARAJII. You see my handles right there at the bottom. But I would love to hear the stories, and I just want to make sure that we are creating a platform for women. Big shout out to my wife. She's the one that's behind this whole thing called I Call Her Queen. Got merch. She does art. I mean, she does phenomenal things. She is a phenomenal woman that's doing a lot of things. She's an educator. You know, we have her here on the show. But, you know, I mean, it's amazing just to be in support of her and the work that she's doing. So check the website at ICallHerQueen.com. if you want to get some more information about the many works that she's doing. But to all the women and to all my sisters, to all the ladies that make this production great, thank you. Shannon, thank you so much. The team, thank you so much, Shayla. I mean, it's just a phenomenal experience when you can support women and everything that they do. And just be sure, the Culture and Black Star Network are here for the ladies. I'm serious. We are here for the ladies to get your stories out, to be heard, to be seen, and to definitely reshape the culture. All right. Also, make sure you support us at blackstarnetwork.com. You can show your support by Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, all of the good stuff, folks. Definitely show your support for Black-owned media. We need you. We appreciate you. And we do all of that we do just for you. So make sure you go to blackstarnetwork.com and download the app for free. Tell your friends and family about it. And let's continue to push forward for Black-owned media. That's going to do it for me. Stay tuned at the 6 o'clock hours. Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on Black Star Network. Happy International Women's Day. Peace.